these are the instructions for how I want you to complete the first two writing assignments in chapter 1, desolation and constellation. They're both going to be set up in exactly the same way, just the content is going to be different. So you can use this. You'll see that this is the same instruction for both, but I'm going to go through desolation. So the very first thing you're going to do is you'll see that this is a slideshow, and I love using slide decks because they let me post all kinds of different stuff into a single box, and that you can look at on one screen at a time. So the very first thing here, you'll see on this front page, there'll be a little video here. If you're watching this, obviously you've seen that and clicked it. And so what you're going to do is you're going to choose one form of desolation from the readings in assignment 2.1 that matches your own experience of desolation. Then you're going to use the slides in the deck to draft the first section of the chapter. And you can pick which grade you want depending on how thoroughly you explain your experience of desolation. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through how to do that process first, and then I'll take you through each individual section and why the section is graded as it is. So everybody needs to do slide 2. So they need to summarize Thibodeaux's description of the concept. So you can see here, I've got a planning box for you and a box for you to write your paragraph. All of the times you write your paragraph will be in a white box. So I give a definition of what I think desolation means to Thibodeaux here. And then I think about the type of desolation that I think I personally experience, which is I usually experience it as disquietude and agitation. And then I briefly prepare a description here, and then I write up the whole paragraph here. And so the way I like to write it up is I use voice typing. And so I go into Google Docs here. So this is my whole thing. But you can see here, this is my first section, this part right here. And you can even see here, I use Grammarly. So while this looks great right now, I mean, there's a couple of things that it doesn't like, but if you look back in my own history, you can see here, going back all day yesterday. So you can see this is how I started it, and then I do a lot of editing. So you can see this is all the editing I did last night. And then this is all the editing I did this morning while I finished writing this. So it's going to take some time to write a good paper. I like to do it in Google Docs so that I can use Grammarly. But anyway, so you're going to paste, and so you can see here's that paragraph that I wrote. So this section here becomes this paragraph here. Then the next thing you're going to do is you need to decide how many points you want on the total assignment. A writing section is worth 20 points. So do I want 13 out of 20? Do I want 15 out of 20? Do I want 17 out of 20? Or do I want 20 out of 20? And then once you decide how many points you want, you should only keep the slides that correspond to that level of the paper. So, for instance, if you want 13 out of 20, you only keep the red slide. If you want 15 out of 20, you should only keep the yellow slide. If you want 17 out of 20, only keep the green. And if you want 20 out of 20, only keep the purple. So I actually want you to go and delete, right? So if I'm going to get 15 out of 20, I'm going to delete the red slide, and I'm going to delete both green slides and both purple slides. So once you've made a decision, you should have 2 kind of slate blue slides, and then either one slide of a different color or 2 slides, depending on how complex your project is. And then everybody will need to finish the very last slide, in which they explain how their experience fits with Thibodeaux's description of desolation. So if all you need to see is how I want you to delete slides, you can turn away from now. But let's go in to now. I'm going to go back, undelete my slides, and I'm going to go through what makes each slide its own thing. So on slide 4 here, our experience of desolation. So if you're going to give me a 13, if you want 13 out of 20, all you have to do is describe how you experience desolation and then give me one cause and one effect of that desolation. So you can see here, I wrote that up using Google Docs and I pasted it in this white box. And then I would also have, so that's the D. So if I'm getting a 13 out of 20, I have this slide, I have this slide, and I have the last slide. Now, if you wanted to a 15 out of 20, what you would have done is deleted the red slide and the green and purple slides. And you can see slide 2 is the same, but then on slide 4 becomes this 15 points. And you can see that what I do is I have to describe desolation, and then I have to give 3 causes and effects of the desolation. So cause 1, cause 2, effect 2, cause 3, effect 3. And then it's right, and then I write it up here. So if I wanted, so you can see that the 15 points is worth more than 13, and it's more complicated. Instead of if you did 13, you only do 1 example. If you want 15 points, I want 3 examples. Then, if I'm going to get 17 points, I'm going to delete everything but the green slides. So I'm going to delete the red and the yellow, and I'm going to delete the purple slides. And now I have my green slides. So you can see the green slide. I'm going to describe what desolation is. I'm going to give a cause and effect, and I'm going to explain why that experience of desolation makes it hard for me to feel God's love. I'm going to give a second example of desolation, a second cause of desolation, a second effect of that desolation, and a second description of why that desolation made it hard to fear God's love. And then I'm going to do a third cause, a third effect, and a third reason why that desolation makes it hard to fear God's love. And as you can probably see, the planning is taking up a lot of the slides. So I have to move on to slide 5, and here's where I write up my own experience of desolation. And then, of course, we end with the same slide. So if I want 17 out of 20, my slide deck should be 7 slides long. Now, lastly, if I want the A slide, if I want 20 out of 20, if I want 100%, I'm going to delete everything but the purple slides. And then we can see, I'm going to describe what desolation means. I'm going to describe 3 causes and 3 effects. I'm going to explain why each of those 3 experiences of desolation makes it hard to feel God's love. And then finally, I need to step back and I want some sort of generalization about all of the causes and effects of the desolation. So for me, I think most of it is because of that fear and agitation and disquietude. For me, that is experienced largely as a reaction to a fear of being unloved and abandoned. I think most of that comes from my own parents' divorce and that trauma, possibly with some other trauma of being adopted and bounced around foster care until I'm adopted. So you can see this is more difficult to write, and there's more stuff than in the other slides. And then, of course, there's no room on this slide, so I go to slide 5, and here is where I write out that whole thing. So this is what an A experience of 100% experience of desolation would look like. Notice here, you're going to have to write more. It's 4 paragraphs. And then I conclude in the exact same way. So I hope this is helpful. As you're going through this, decide what grade you want, delete the slides that aren't connected to that grade, and then complete the slides to draft your section. If for some reason you're not getting the slides right or you need help, please submit the paper. Submit this assignment. I will make corrections and help you with it, and I will return it to you. And if for some point you start off maybe wanting 15 out of 20 points, and you decide later to add more, you want a better grade, you can always go up into your history here, and you can restore any of the slides that you would have deleted. And you'll notice that everything builds. So if I've written slide 15, I need to just add this section to make it 17 points out of 20. And if I've written the 17 out of 20 and I want to try for 100%, I just need to add this section to what I've written. So you can build and add very easily. So I hope this was helpful. Good luck to all of you on your writing. And congratulations when you're finished with this section. You will have already written this section for your chapter. So when you get your full points here, all you have to do on the day that you have to submit your whole chapter is copy and paste. Good luck.